Hello, I'm Foon, and I write the website hustlecastle.site. I've recently started making explainer YouTube videos and even more recently, topical what's happening right now sort of videos. Since I'm new at this, please keep your standards low and your thoughts kind. Guys like Proligic Gamer Mike and QC Runner have been doing this for years, so it's still harder for me to get close to their production value. All right, so what's happening right now? A lot. We're in the middle of a casino event, the Valhalla Monopoly, and the dragon showed up, and also there are new set offers. Let's start with the dragon. The dragon is not cheap, but it's way cheaper than trying to get gear from the chest that the donkey sells. If you try to get an item from the chest sold by the donkey, you need to be ready to spend hundreds of dollars on that. That's a really big spend that you should go into really thinking about if it's something you want to do. Like I said, the dragon isn't cheap, it's just that the donkey makes it look cheap, or her look cheap. Ignoring the skins, weapons, armors, and artifacts cost 7,000 diamonds and jewelry costs 4,900. 7,000 diamonds is about $50 if you buy the diamonds for the dragon, and $50 is a lot for one item. When people quit this game, they almost always say it was too much time and too much money. And the money part is a real shame because that means that person was spending more than they were comfortable spending, and then once they quit, that money really was thrown away. So resist the urge to go on a big shopping spree and just get what you can afford this time. The dragon will be back again soon. For me, I have a lot of these items already. The new stuff in this dragon is dino gear. So the item that people are really excited about is the Dino wand. I have that, but I have wanted the Dino archer gear and jewelry for a long time. Unfortunately, I'm low on diamonds from buying portal multipliers to grind for dungeon board materials, so I'm going to treat myself to just the ring this time. I already bought it. I think this item will make the biggest difference to my team for now. And then I'll just hope this is all here again next month, which I have every reason to believe it will be. It seems like the dragon's inventory just keeps adding. As far as I can tell, nothing has been removed, and my clan thinks so too. I've made it this long without these items, so I can survive another month. So every time the dragon comes around, people ask, like, which should I buy? So I've gone ahead and made a list of what I think the best items are. This is just off the top of my head. I made this quickly to answer a Reddit question yesterday. I'm sure others might weigh things slightly differently, and of course it depends on your own squad. For example, if you're really happy with your archers as they are, or you don't have any archers, then the Dino jewelry that I'm so excited about would be useless to you. Honorable mention to the pizza artifact, but I think it's better to wait for a challenge event and buy it for $10 than to spend $30 worth of diamonds on it now. Same for the healing wave, aka starfish. That one can be a good alternative to Dragon Eye because both will resurrect one fighter when paired with the Rune of Transformation, and it's really, really good to be able to give the power of resurrection to your last standing fighter, typically your EOL or heaviest tank. But of course, you only have one Rune of Transformation, so you have to choose one, and Dragon Eye is a bit better. There's also some nice jewelry, but I don't know how to rank them, so I just excluded them from my list. I think this month in particular, you either want to buy one of the Dino items just added to the inventory, or one of the items from the top of my list that's been there for a few months, but you just haven't been able to buy it yet. Or if you're neither of those groups, well, you've been playing that long, you don't need my advice. I assume you're only watching this for some background noise while playing the game. All right, so that's the dragon. Let's look at some offers. Most or all TR11s got these offers for the new sets that were introduced in December. Some people got the cheap versions. I got the expensive versions, so I will not be buying any of these. As far as I know, no one really understands why some people get the cheap versus expensive version of these new set offers when they come around. The cheap version is a good deal. If you're in the mood to buy yourself a treat, the obvious choice is Dragonborn. Dragonborn is currently the best ancient set in the game, and all players are racing to build it and reroll it even stronger. Even if you've already crafted a few Dragonborn items, buying the set will guarantee you a high roll. You can even see the roll before buying, so it could still be worth buying. If you're done with your Dragonborn, have the cheap offer, and still really want to buy yourself something, that's a little harder to choose. I like my own cultist. However, I'm not going to go on the record recommending people spend real money on it when the current event mage armor is a direct cultist counter. Nameless King has hard to get materials. You get them from the expensive Very Dark Souls chests like Illusionist and Storm. Actually, let me show you what I mean. So not these regular Dark Souls chests down here for just 10,000. Not those, I mean the expensive ones up here for Very Dark Souls. These are expensive to get, and then you could open it and not get the right set you want. So it really is hard to get materials. All right, back to the offers. And the other nice thing about Nameless King, especially the armor, is it's always nice to have an extra tank armor laying around. You can almost always find a use for it. The Reaver set is the one we know the least about. It doesn't sound good on paper, but virtually no one has it yet because the underwhelming description combined with how hard these materials are to get. They're from Expeditions, aka the Camel Store, and materials in the stores are really limited quantities. So we still don't really know how good this one is. It's a tough call for sure if you have the cheap offer and want to use it, but you don't need Dragonborn. You can also just save your money. Just because it's a good deal doesn't mean you have to buy. Okay, enough about money. Let's go back to playing. So we're in the middle of a casino event. Everyone loves a casino event because they give out so much gold and mithril. With the gold, if you're working on orange or red gems, you really need to be recycling gems 24/7 with your best watchmakers in there when you don't need them elsewhere. It absolutely stinks to have lots of gold but no dust. If you're just starting oranges and you think you'll never run out of dust, then this warning is especially for you. As your gems improve, the ratio of how much dust you need goes way, way up, and you need to start spending money recycling shards. Hammer events are also rich in gold, so they have the same problem, and that's the event we'll have next with a Wild West theme, I've heard. Oh, just get back in there. So even when the event ends, keep aggressively recycling shards to dust. And if you're already low, orange shards I think turn to dust faster. So if you're already low, then you might want to just do orange for now until the event ends and then go back to recycling the cheaper shards after. You should also check your inventory for gray, green, and blue gems as well as scrolls. These recycle instantly and are free. Or if you want, you can also throw $5 at the Pirate Pass, Pirate League. This gives you lots of dust. All right, let's take a look at the mole. I think he makes a very handsome Viking. This style event, you play the game to get chips. You use the chips to spin the wheel. On the wheel, you get dice, also gold and mithril. If you bought either pass, then every 20 spins, you also get a gold dice. The gold dice won't roll a 1, but they do not average higher rolls than regular dice. I think these extra dice are really nice. This event style has so much randomness to it that it's good to have one sure thing. Once you have your dice, you use them on the Super Game board. All right, here's the start. In the first bottom part of the game board, you go through this just once and you get some hero skins, you get the jewelry here. And then when you get up to the top, the game becomes a loop. And you just go around this loop as many times as you can. Most of these rewards are basically nothing, but you want to get these chests. You want to get as many chests as you can. Let's just move on right to the next tab of the event. So here we have daily quests. These first two everyone gets. These next two with this blue gradient, I have them here because I bought either pass. You get these with the silver pass. And then you can see I bought the gold pass, so I also have these ones down here, these orange ones. These extra 1,800 chips each day was a big incentive for me to buy the gold pass. The objectives are actually limitless. It looks like they end, but if you were to check your own right now, you will also have 3 that are in progress. Each time you finish one, another one gets added to the bottom. The rankings, the leaderboard is based on moles, which are how many places you've moved on the Super Game board from rolling dice. People do this for bragging rights or because it's cool, and it is cool, but it's also not for me. So let's move on to the unique items. So here are all the unique items you get from the event. This first row are the items you get from the first part of the board on the Super Game, where you just pass that part once, and you can see I went through there already. And then these are the chests. I haven't actually opened any chests, so all of mine are still unclaimed. This is just how casino events split the rewards into these warrior, mage, and archer chests. As I predicted, the warrior gear is in the warrior chest, mage in the mage chest, etc. And then the book is going to be the last drop. It's going to be in any chest. This I didn't remember. The bridge, background, and weather are each split up amongst different chests. I really want the weather. That looks awesome. Now, if you're following the conversation about the event, you are hearing people talk about slots. These items from the map, you absolutely cannot break these for a new roll because you will never pass through that part of the map, part of the board again. However, the chest items you can break. And when you break them, it'll show as not being claimed, and they will hopefully show up in another chest. Be warned, you can get worse slots the second time. I will normally only break an item if I have at least 10 unopened chests ready for that type of chest. and then it's still not a guarantee I'll get the item back. So do this at your own risk. If you're going to try for different gem slots, what do you want? Well, for armors, you always want more health. That's true for all 3 types. For the orb, this is a weapon that uses spell power, so I would say you want as much spell power as you can get. For crossbows, I assume with the crossbow you're going to be using it with the Rune of Confusion, which activates on crit. So if you have a special ability that activates on crit, you want as much crit as possible. The sword, I don't think I'll be using the sword, so I think I will just keep whatever I get personally. But I would say you want damage and dodge. There's no on-crit trigger here, so I wouldn't want any crit. But there's this percent damage increase, which means any damage I add to it through gems will get multiplied by 40% or even more if it was ancient. So I would think damage would be good here. The book also uses spell power, so I would probably look for spell power again. However, this will drop late, so it might not be worth the risk of breaking it. Might want to just take it if you can get it. What else is there to talk about? Drop order. The archer stuff seems to drop pretty early. I think most people got the armor and the crossbow in the first couple chests. And then warrior came next pretty soon after that. And then there was a little bit of a gap, and then the mage gear came through. My clanmate, Lord X, just got the mount yesterday at 797 moles. So not everyone is going to get that. I might not get that. This event has only been around a few times, so I don't think anyone knows for sure what milestones make you more likely to get which items and when. Some think it's the leaderboard, some think it's the number of chests that you've already opened. I would assume it was the latter, since I haven't heard that items drop right away if you wait to open your chests until later in the event when your mole count would be higher. But I can open some now, and my mole count is reasonably high being halfway through the event, so we'll see if I get lucky right away, then maybe that'll be an argument to open your chests late. Okay, here are my chests. They say archer drops first, so I'm going to open up one of those. Oh, an orange gem, not a bad chest. Open up one more. Again, not a bad chest, nothing too impressive. I don't like manipulating open rate too much, so I will always kind of spread these out a little bit. Even if I think archer's going to drop first, I don't want to just open up all my archer, because I really don't know what the game expects to see before it triggers up the drop, so I don't like to act too unusual. I like to act kind of more like a regular player would act. Okay, one of each, and then back to archer again. Maybe I'll get lucky. Haha, I did get lucky. So let's see, like I said, I'm hoping for a lot of crit, and I got no crit. So I might break this because this is just the 3rd archer chest I've opened. So I probably have a good chance of getting, well, I can say I'm basically guaranteed to get this back. Basically, you never know. But yeah, I'd like to have a little bit of crit on a crossbow. All right, yep. And now you can see here in the event, it is not marked as claimed. So I'll get it again. I might even get it right away. I find that it can take up to 10 chests to get an item back, but let's see if I'm just really lucky, some YouTubers' luck. And there's the armor. So just like I said, the archer stuff drops pretty fast. Health? 2 health. I'll think about that if I want to keep that or not. I would really like to see 3 health on this. So if I open one more and get super lucky, get another crossbow already? Yeah, that would have been too much to get another crossbow so fast. All right, let's move on from this. I don't think it's that much fun to watch a million chests get opened. So one last thing, let's talk about apples. This event does not give out apples. I've been having a hard time some days to have enough, so let's look at what the best ways are to spend them. All right, I've shown this chart before. I got this off of Hustle Prime, and this shows how many chips you get for different events. I'm just going to do TR11 here. I think probably the ratios will work out, but I didn't really have a lot of time to put together a real complicated chart and to ask how much, how much does djembe cost when you're different throne levels and stuff like that. So I just really quickly put it into a chart. Here I have the different aspects of the game that give chips and the rule that I got off of that, off of here. And then this is how much apples it costs to do these things, right? So this is how many apples it costs for clan war. This is for all 10 of your invasion. 1 arena if you use apples. That's why these are green, because you don't have to use apples to do these. And then based on the rules, this is the most you can get. So here, this 1400, that's a boss dungeon where you get 7 bosses times 200 each. And then over here, I tried to guess what a more realistic count would be. So clan war is really hard. This would be like if you win half the time. Invasion, I assume you're doing all of your invasion, so that's the same. Arena, so 500 is if you win all 5 of your battles. Here I have if you win 3 out of 5 battles, if that's more like what your average is. PvP, of course, is going to be the same. And djembe was also kind of tricky, so let's look at that chart again. You get 28 chips for each wave for the first ones and then more for the subsequent ones. So I figured maybe the average person is finishing all except for wave 15, which is 280. So that's what I have here is everything except for the very last battle in the djembe. Personally, I always finish mine, but if I wanted to give also a view for if you're not doing that. And for dungeon, I thought 3 bosses is probably pretty average. More often, it's going to be 2 or 4 boss maps, so I put 3 bosses. So how much do things pay out? So you can see here, if you win at clan war, that is a really good return. Invasion is okay. Arena, if you win all 5, is really, really good. If you can win all 5 or close to that of your battles, then you really want to spend time in the arena. PvP, everyone knows that one's a bit lower. Actually, but it's basically the same as invasion. So it's funny that everyone is all for doing invasion, for getting chips, but they always criticize doing PvP during events when it's basically the same. Now your djembe. This is pretty interesting. Obviously, your free djembes, do those, of course. If you're spending 150 apples for your djembes, then you get this amazing return. So definitely always do that first one. But the second one, you're actually getting less, even the best situation, even if you win all your battles, you're going to get less chips than you would for a good arena. So I'm going to say, if your limiting factor is apples, you actually don't want to do your 4th djembe. If your limiting factor is apples, then you'd be better off spending those apples in the arena. However, if your limiting factor is time, then the djembe is probably worth it because it's much faster to do 1 djembe than to do a couple different arenas. But let's look at these realistic ones too, or what I tried to guess would be realistic. If you're kind of more of like an average player, which is what I kind of thought these are, then still your first 3 djembes are absolutely what you want to be doing. And then also dungeon becomes more worth it. When you compare it to if you're only winning 3 battles in the arena, then dungeon might actually give you a better return on your time. Of course, lots of people like to do both at the same time. For me, that kind of stresses me out. I don't like to do them both at the same time. I like to play the game while I'm also either working or doing housework. So for me, it's normally one or the other. So for me, I can probably win more like 4 or 5 battles in arena. And so then arena becomes slightly better for me. Oh, one last thing. I made a playlist of casino-themed songs to listen to while grinding the event. And it's here on my channel if you're into that sort of thing. It's a very wide range of styles of music, but all casino and gambling related. That's everything I wanted to talk about in this video. I wanted to talk about the dragon and show what I think the best items to buy are, a quick look at the Ancient Set special offers, and the Valhalla event, the basic mechanics of the event, the gem slots, drop rates. So I'll end it here. Like and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me in the future. And I wish you all so much luck. We need it with those dice.